Rachel Veitch from Key Fund. Rachel's going to tell us about how social finance works and making your organisation more resilient. So I'll hand over now to Rachel, who's going to run us through her presentation.
Hello, good morning. Now, can you see my presentation?
Yep.
We can.
Marvellous, great. I can see a few of you. I'm just going to see if I can get a few more of you up because it makes me feel better. There we are. Okay then, so first of all, a couple of things, just in response to Simon's comment just now. Simon, I think it was a great question, and I think it's up to organisations to do what's right for them and for their beneficiaries. And I also think the way that we've operated at Key Fund and the way that I've seen quite a few organisations operating is that they've tried to reach out in lots of different ways. Obviously they're limited, but you can get really creative, and it looks like you have done, so well done, you know, from the chat that you've put up. And also I'd like to say congratulations to John and his team and I've written this down so I wouldn't forget: resilience, creativity, and relentless adaptability. So well done, you know, you're an inspiration to us all. So here's a little bit about Key Fund, who I've worked for almost 3 years now. And this is about social investment, which is, it's a posh way of saying loan funds for people that make a difference. And there are lots of different terms for it, and I'll try and use a few different ones so that you know, you hear them all. But it's loans wherever we can. We put a grant with it, and it's for organisations that make a difference to daily lives, for social enterprises and charities. And you know, again, we've got that thread of resilience that I've brought through as well. So just a little bit of background first of all, for we've got a mixed bag of people here, if you don't mind me calling you that. We've got people who have heard of Key Fund, people who I've heard of. We've got some Key Fund clients. We've got people who look like they run amazing organisations, but I've never heard of you, and everything in between. So just going to try and make sure that nobody misses out on bits of information. So the background of Key Fund, well, if you have a look at the black and white picture there, that is, it's a little bit wonky, and that's because it was taken by me, Hazel, and Mr. Ho will perhaps recognise this. It was taken by me leaning over the balcony or the stairwell of the building where Key Fund is based in Sheffield, and this covers the whole of a 2-storey wall. You don't know where you're going until you know where we've been, and we're really proud of our heritage at Key Fund because it helps keep us grounded and it helps us give us a way to move forwards. We grew, I say we, before my time, but we grew out of the ashes of the steelworks and the coal industry. It was a bunch of people that came together to repackage what was at the time largely European grant funding, so that ordinary organisations that were focusing on delivery could actually manage to access it. And anybody who's ever accessed European grant funding will know that that repackaging would have been a very helpful step. We've grown since then. So we started out in South Yorkshire. We've grown to cover the whole of Yorkshire, and then Yorkshire and the Midlands. So we're from sort of Northamptonshire all the way up to the Scottish borders, west and east. And we work with, as I say, organisations that are social enterprises that make a difference to other people's daily lives. Bit of background of me. So at Key Fund there are 17 of us. We've got a finance team of 6 or 7. We've got an investment manager team of 7. We've got administrators, and together we are from all manner of different backgrounds and experiences. Mine is one of the more eclectic, as you can see there. So I've lived in Sheffield, Hull and Germany. I actually studied German. And then I've studied other things along the way, including petals and all sorts. That is the qualification rather than the flowers. I've worked in industry, where I worked for AES Seal, amongst other organisations. They gave me a great start in my working life, for which I will forever be grateful. So it's lovely to see them connecting with John. I've worked in education as a learning mentor, so supporting well-being of pupils and families, and as a community development coordinator. And then I found the third sector, or should I say it found me. And working for a third sector organisation, I actually became a Key Fund client. Following that, I've worked in the arts for 5 years, but third sector, it never really left me. Social enterprise never left me. I became a trustee and director of a charity, Jade Youth and Community, who were also Key Fund clients. And then not long after that, I found a job working with Key Fund as an investment manager. So that's my path. That's what brings me here, and it really helps because I've got such a wide experience. It means I can generally help clients with understanding where they're coming from or connecting them to people that perhaps can help them out. So a little bit about social investment and where to begin if you're new to this arena, and there are some links there. I won't go through them all. But we've also got the now, who was it? Social Enterprise Exchange. Now I was trying to work out if I got this on my links here. We've got Hazel here from South Yorkshire Community Foundation, who also works with the Social Enterprise Exchange. Also a really good organisation for supporting organisations like yours, social enterprises and charities that are wanting to grow or develop or gain financial support and business development support. So some great organisations here. If you don't know where to start, just follow Key Fund on Twitter, because we've got a great comms lady called Girl About Sheffield, Emma, and she's really good at sharing other people's stuff. And we've got a great team of kind of supporters who also share stuff that helps other people. So it's a really good supportive network. So what have we got next? This is me telling you about Key Fund, a little bit more about Key Fund. Oh, let's see if we can send it back. That's our mission statement. So when I worked for AES Seal, we had a really long and wordy mission statement, but it was always paraphrased as, and John might recognise this from Chris Ray, servicing the customer to death. And customer service and quality was at the heart of things at AES, as it still is. And I'm pleased to say that it's the same at the Key Fund. And what I love about this is that our mission to provide the right money at the right time, it's something that we live and something that we work through every day, and I love that. So what that actually means in practice is that we won't lend to your organisation if we think it's going to leave you in a worse position. So we're very ethical. We work really closely to our principles. This is what a client and collaborator said of us. This was our social impact report front page a couple of years ago, and we've worked with Neil at CERT. He's both a client of ours and we've worked together with him. And he summarises it as such: everything about us is unusual, but in a good way, which we think is good. We kind of like that, enough to put it on the front of our report. So the ways that we think we're unusual follows here. So we think that we're unusual in ways that surprise people. So when you're talking about social investment, we get people applying that think it's a box ticking exercise, and we get people applying for our funds that think it's going to be a traumatic experience and going to cost them hours and hours of work, teeth gnashing and browbeating. And we're pleased to report that nobody thinks that. And there are some surprises. So these are the sometimes surprising benefits of social investment. But from the Key Fund perspective, because there are other social investors out there, a lot of them are great. Someone mentioned Unlimited earlier, or was that in my earlier webinar that I've done today? It seems to have been a long morning. But there are other ones out there and they're fab, and it's about finding people that you can work with, as it is for so many things, people that you connect with. So the starting point of any social investment, of any financial lending, is that it's about your needs, which differs slightly to grant funding. Grant funding is amazing, and where would we be without it? It is just such a necessary support to organisations, even in the best of times. And necessarily, grant funding is about the aims of the organisation providing the funds. We are enabled through our funders to be, who are often grant funders, to be a different way round. So our starting point is your needs. The focus is your organisation and what you need to go forward. And it's all about relationship-centered lending. So we've got quite a few people in my team that were in banks for a long time. The lead investment manager, 38 years before he came over to the bright side. And he missed the old-fashioned way of banking, as he called it, where you could connect with people. And so the way that we help people to gain our support is very much focused on relationships and communication. It's a quick application process, so it's between 5 and 7 weeks. That hasn't really changed, even though we're all working from home. And it does depend on the quality of an organisation's information and how available the lead contact for this application is. And also on your timelines, we'll try and tie into your timelines to help you get where you need to be when you need to be there. Loans are usually unsecured. That means we don't take anything apart from some interest in return, and it's to the organisation, not the individuals. So we can do secured lending. So sometimes when there's a property deal on the table, that means if we're helping people to secure a property through purchase, then we can take the property and security against that. But again, that's all taken on a case-by-case basis. And it's the amount you need. So we can lend to you between 5,000 and 150,000 on one of our most popular ways of lending, which also comes with, at the moment, up to 15% of the loan value with you as a grant. But we can lend up to £300,000, particularly in the Yorkshire region. And it's all about talking to us about what you need, and we'll max our funds to make sure you get the support that you can the best support that you can access. I've mentioned that we'll award grants wherever we can, and again, that's part of getting the best we can to you. And it is a short application process as well. So if you visit thekeyfund.co.uk and click on the mysterious pink apply button, that will take you through to an application form online. And it's something where you can add your information in, and we'll ask you to upload a couple of key documents. It probably will take you no more than 20 minutes, and it's not judged. This is a starting point. This is a way to open the conversation and a way for us to start understanding what it is you need and work out whether we can help you and how we can help you. And it's about survival versus resilience for you, so, and for us at the moment. So with regards to coronavirus and the implications of that, if you're coming to us for survival funds, then we'll look very carefully about whether that's right for you. But it might be that we can help you with that. Whether it's, if you're coming to us for resilience funds or business growth funds, then that's a little bit easier for us to look at. But however people apply to us, then we will consider your case and help you to build a case for investment wherever we can. We are asking people, somebody mentioned earlier about SWOT analyses, or I've seen mention of that. We've created, or I've created a small one of those for supporting my clients to see, but we've covered that in short term, medium and long term, and who knows what they might mean at any given moment. But sometimes a SWOT analysis, looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats, particularly if you can do that as a group exercise by phone or Zoom, that can just help you regroup and see where you're coming from at the moment. And we, again, like I say, every case is taken on its own merits, and we are checking in with clients just before we go to investment panel, more of that in a moment, to see what the latest is, because it can change from one day to the next. So how does our process work? Well, you'll see I've said there, ping pong. It's to and fro. So you'll apply to us, the lead investment manager, Adrian, will give you a ring and just double check that we're the right lender to talk to you. If there's another funder out there that might be better suited to your organisation, then he will point you in that direction. We'll ask you questions, and we'll check in with you and see what it is that you need. You'll come back to us, and then if we've got more questions, we'll come back to you. It's all about honesty and openness, and it's about looking at key elements of your business plan, and looking at your business And as I've said before, you'll see this case as a recurring theme. We're creating a strong case for investment. We're then going to present your case to our investment panel. You'll be pleased to hear that you don't have to do that. We do that for you. It's a little bit like Dragon's Den. Our investment panel are people brought from all walks of life, volunteers, and it's their role to simultaneously really support the applications for investment, but to also challenge us to make sure that we've not missed anything in our building of your case. So to make sure that it's the right money at the right time, right back to the mission statement, and it's all about not lending you into hot water, making sure things are good for you and that we can lend you into a better position. I love presenting at investment panel. It used to be such a buzz when it was physical and we were all around a big board table, and the investment managers would be suited and booted, and it felt a little bit like, I don't know, being at a sports event and being a guest of honour or something like that, because we'd be really looked after by the rest of our team, because this was our chance to shine on behalf of the clients, and that is amazing. It's slightly muted by Zoom, but it's working really well for us. So that's our investment panel. As part of the process building to investment panel where we present for you, we've got to get to know your business really, really well. So we'll ask you some key elements that go into a report that is then sent to our investment panel members a week in advance. And these are the key things that we'll talk to you about, all things that you'll see that John considered earlier in their development planning this year, and their adaptations and pivoting and pirouetting, I think you can say, because you had to change so rapidly so often. We ask what's going on, we ask what's happening. If you've got, because we do lend to startups, so if you've got historical situations, then we'll ask how things have been. We ask about your people, we ask who's going to make it happen. We ask about who's going to buy. We ask about who's going to benefit from the difference that you make. And I know we've got at least 2 current Key Fund clients on the event today, and hopefully you found this, and I know one of you at least has said that to me, had found this a really positive experience, because it just helps you to understand how well you know your organisation. As part of the application process, we'll ask you to upload a business plan, a cash flow forecast, and your historic accounts if you do have those. If you look at the little graphics that I've created there, we ask for a simple, effective business plan. Please, not the 64-page ones. It's got to mean something to you, preferably done with yourselves or with a consultant, not by a consultant. Hopefully that means that you've been involved in the process, because if, as is sometimes the case, you didn't understand your business inside and out before you started rebooting or doing a new business plan or doing one for the first time, by the time you've gone through this, then you will really understand your business. And I've been through something similar with FCS before when I worked for a different organisation, and having that external support is really, really helpful. We've also asked people, and we do ask people to come to us with a cash flow forecast, and that's the other little graphic there. And we've got a really simple template of that at Key Fund, which you're welcome to get in touch and ask me for. But we ask you to look at your income, your expenditure, and the difference between the two. And we ask you to plot that out between month 1 and month 12 of a given year. And your year might begin in April, who knows? Some years begin in September for school-orientated businesses, for example. And we ask you to do that for over 3 years, sometimes over 5 years. And it's a really useful exercise. I first started doing that as a Key Fund client using this same template, and I've used it ever since, supporting different organisations through work and as a volunteer. And it just helps you know what's going on and when. And if you're frightened of finances, it's even more useful, because it helps remove the fear factor, because you know what's going on, and forewarned is forearmed. We also help you to consider your business risks and your business strengths. And we're asked to list some of the risks, but also we look at the mitigations of that, the things that you can do to make a difference. So if, as we're putting a case together with you, and that is mainly our work, not yours. So once the application's done and some of the conversations, it's all on our shoulders, not yours. You'll be pleased to hear. But if we find a bump in the road, then we'll try and find a way around it. And that's how it works. That's the relationship, and that's the ping and pong. So how can social investment be used? And you'll see the psychologically positive green R's. These are the bits, I think, that really point towards resilience planning and resilience support. You can use social investment from us and from a lot of other people for startups, where we'll concentrate specifically on your cash flow forecasting and your connections to the people who are going to buy your product. We help people to become or remain sustainable. For growth, solving a problem or bridging a gap. We had Mansfield CVS, and we do have their permission to tell you this. They're a client of ours, and they came to us for help with redundancy funds. And we were able to use one of our progressive funds about new starts and looking forwards, because this was the final stage in them closing down one era of operation and growing towards a new era of operation. And it really did give them the last piece of the jigsaw in a new start, and they've gone from strength to strength, and you know, it really did help to help them to solve a problem and bridge a gap. We help people buy equipment or property, and again, with resilience, that can be really useful. And day-to-day costs. So we do help provide cash flow funds if we can see that there is a business benefit to that, and if we're not just delaying the inevitable. But we'll, you know, if you're not sure, get in touch and we'll help you with that. It's not a one-time only box ticking exercise when you apply. And again, just to remind you that most of our support is blended finance. It's loan with grant funding, although we do have something I'm going to talk about later briefly, which is just grant funding. And at the moment and over the summer, we've been supporting with just grant funding, because this is what a lot of people need as things are at the moment. Again, it's whatever your organisation most needs, and we help build a case. The strongest and most resilient clients, just as you know, as we begin to draw to a close. This is a summary, and this is from 3 years of working with people, with different applicants and different clients. There are organisations that have turned away, not many. I think off the top of my head, it's probably 3 or 4, and they all had certain things in common. And as we've seen with some of the grant support work, where we've been really working in a very intense fashion in 2020, processing grant applications as part of collaborations with other organisations, we've seen what makes a strong organisation and what makes a less strong organisation in practice. So I've brought a bit of that to this slide here. So the strongest and most resilient clients, they know where their income's coming from. They know their customers, so they know who's going to buy, and they know what the connection is. So a case in point is an organisation that came to me right at the beginning of my tenure with Key Fund. They wanted to open, they were at the far end of the country, shall we say, and they wanted to open a farm, and it was a day service, and they wanted to open on a particular date, and I wanted to find out what customers they got lined up. And they hadn't got any lined up, and what I was expecting to see was that they would have been in touch with care homes, that they would have been in touch with individual people who were able to purchase the services that they were offering, that they'd perhaps got at least access to council tenders, that they got something lined up. In industry, we used to call it an order book. I wanted to see an order book. I wanted to see that they got some kind of way to show that they were going to benefit. And the bottom line is, we don't want to lend people into a worse position. So we want to see that you can pay back, not for our benefit, but so that it's one less headache for you, and so that you can really benefit from any funds that we can put your way. If you don't know where to start with knowing your customers, just do the question words, the 5 question words, the who, what, why, where, why, when. And I've worked with various boards in training over the years, and organisations in planning and development. And if you don't know where to start, this is a really good way to start, and you can do it in various formats depending what you're comfortable with, you know, with your flip charts and your fat pens, or digitally. You can do it verbally, you can do it. I once did it with wallpaper on the floor, great big boxes, and we did a table on the floor, and we got a board to stand on the points, and we worked in a very physical fashion, and that really worked for that organisation. But if you're stuck, start with your question words and it'll just get you going. Maximise your connections. You know, don't think that it's a waste of time to plot out your connections and the people that might be able to help. And know what your priorities are and tell people that. I mean, I've been saying that to people for years. Rachel's heard me say this to people before in other presentations about funding, largely, and grant funding. But it really is important in this day and age to maximise your connections, because you never know what people are going to bring back to your table. The really big thing that I've heard, that I've learned through the summer, through working on this grant processing, are the bit about maintaining strong business foundations and keeping sight of your financial situation and your forecasting. They're one and the same. So even if you're frightened of finances, bite the bullet and either find a way that works for you, do some learning so you understand it, or get somebody you trust to do it with you or for you. Even if that means making somebody sit with you while you do it, then that can really make the difference. Because if you understand your financial situation, and this is from somebody who never thought they'd have the job title investment manager, and I didn't apply for this job when I saw it come by twice because of the job title. But you know, we manage our investees, not so much the investments. We help our clients to stay afloat and to prosper. So the best advice I can give you is, even if you hate it and you're frightened of it, just get a handle on it and get help if you need to. And also, and you'll be all really, really good at this, know how you make a daily difference and be able to explain that to people in what we sometimes call an elevator pitch. But it's not wasting time to sit down without your computer on and do a collage, or get your coloured pens out, or ring up your mate who knows nothing about your work and try and find a way to explain really succinctly what your organisation does. And that daily difference, that's the difference that we make at Key Fund. We help people with funds to help them to make their daily difference and do what they do best. The two little pictures below, that's to remind you about your connections. They are so important. So events like this are vital. The breakout session, I mean, that's a first for me, and it's a oh, what's the word? A thingy breaker. It's fantastic. I thought it was really useful, and it reminded me of the kind of networking that we all miss, or that some of us miss. So thank you very much for that. And the other picture is about this again was another client that I said no to. They got their balcony all sorted. They got the 7-year plan. They knew where they were going to be. They got all the details sussed. They were a new start organisation. They got lots and lots of statistics. No evidence, but lots of statistics. Lots of lists of people. No connections. So they got the balcony. It was very ornate, just like that one. But they didn't have the first few steps. And they didn't actually have anybody within their organisation that could help them practically to generate the first few steps. They didn't have the connections to the people who were going to buy. So that's just a visual reminder of some key pieces of advice, I think, that I've gathered.
Rachel,
so,
all right to speed it up, because I'm just...
Yeah, this is, I think, my last slide. It is indeed. So these are some organisations that we've supported. And if you go onto our websites or find us on Twitter, you'll find lots of connections to these people and lots of others. And each has got a really good client story. And, you know, just get in touch if you want to find out more. But Twitter's great, and LinkedIn is great for Key Fund, for connecting with Key Fund. Simon at the theatre, you might want to find Nonsuch. They're a theatre that are small but act big, and they are amazing. So you might want to catch up with them.
Ed Boot, he's a tremendous storyteller, isn't he? He's great.
Yeah, they're brilliant. So just to finish, I'm not going to go into this. I'm just going to say, Investing for Growth, this is a grant fund that we've got available for Sheffield City region. We've packaged it up in a simple fashion. It's very adaptable. But also it works under ERDF funding guidelines, so it's also not adaptable. So the best thing I can say to you about that is find it online, We've got an IFG account on Twitter as well, which if you link through to Key Fund, you'll find that. But also find @Veitch, that's me, find me on Twitter. My best advice I can give you on that is if you want to find more about these grants, which are for growth and development, and they are actual grants, but you'll need match funding, is to get in touch. And we'll look at each individual organisation. Those are the headlines of it, and those are my contact details. And there you go. I said I was nearly at the end, so that's it. That's me. And if you want to get in touch, those are my contact details. And if you've got any questions, I think now is the time. Rachel, over to you.
Brilliant.